All right, so today we are going to build a web application which allows us to show screencasts, and I'm gonna name it uh, MindForge. Let's call it something simple. Learn, yeah, learn is enough. So I've created a directory called source learn in my home directory, and once inside of that, I'm gonna create a file called readme, and so usually I create a readme file with a list of features which this application is going to have. So let's say the first version is going to allow us to do a few things. Right? So a user should be able to create a, a screencast, right? Or rather upload or able to list a screencast, right? List a screencast. User should be able to create a screencast and create, edit, and delete a screencast, right? And other users should be able to comment on the screencasts. So it's a very simple application with a limited set of features, and we're going to start off with the first one here. Um, so we have the concept of a screencast, which is going to have a few things, right? So it's a screencast is going to have a title, an embed code, and a duration maybe, and the date when it was created, and maybe a few tags. So that's a screencast. Now the first thing we need is since we are going to build this in Go, we need to create the Go code. So I've created a file called main.go. Put some boilerplate here. Say starting server on localhost 3000, and instead of font, let's use log, right? And now if I build this and run it, it says starting server and it stops. So we need to say http listen and serve colon 3000 and a nil handler. And now if we start the server and if we check that address, it says 404 page not found, which is good. Once we have a web server running, we need the home page, which is supposed to show a few the existing screencasts, right? So for that, we need to add a handler, handle func, and the pattern is slash. On slash, we want to show a page which shows a list of screencasts. So I've got an index handler which takes the HTTP response writer and request as arguments. So this is the response writer and the request, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna print a message. It should be fprint a message on the response called hello, right? So that's good. Now if we restart the server and refresh the page, we see a message called hello. Now we need a page which allows us to add the screencast. So let's put that on a different URL called /new, and we'll call it new screencast handler, and the signature of the method is going to be similar to this, new screencast handler. And on this page we need to show a form, so I'm just going to put a form here, right? So form input form, right? And this is the title, and for now we're just going to take the title and the embed code. So text area name is embed, and close the text area, and we'll even add a doc type to be good. So now let's restart the server and go to /new, and there we have the form, right? Doesn't look nice, but it's there. And I'm gonna enter hello world and the embed code of a video. Let me get the video of a recent screencast we did here. Alright, so share, get the embed code, put it here, and I'm gonna submit this, and so it's posting it to the same URL, and it's passing the arguments as query string params, which we don't want. So to fix that, we need the form to go to an action, which is not new, but which is /screencast, and the method should be post, right? So now I'm gonna refresh this page, and restart the server first, refresh the page, and submit the page, and it goes to hello. Now the reason for that is because there's no /screencast handler, and it's being routed to the index handler, which is good. Now what we need is a screencast handler, so we're gonna add the screencast handler, and it's gonna be called create screencast, and which is going to look very similar to this, right? And the only difference here is instead of showing the page, it's gonna store the resource, store the screencast. So here for now I'm gonna say creating screencast with a title r.form title, and once we have that, let's restart the server, and I'm gonna resubmit the form, and it says screencast with a title and an empty title. So I guess we need to parse the form here. Once we do that, I'm gonna resubmit here, and here you see we have a hello world title, which is good. Now we actually need to save this into the database. So for that, I'm gonna copy some database initialization code from a different project I have here. What's the name of the project? So right. So that needs a few imports, right? These two imports, and oh boy, so let's remove this. We need a db variable, and we need method which connects to the database, and a database name which is going to be learn underscore dev in this case. So if you want to know more about this, you can look at my other screencast, but right now we have a variable called db, which is a global variable, and in the init function we are calling the connect to db function, which in turn is connecting to the database and saving a reference to that database. Now database SQL actually pools all the connections, so you don't have to worry about connection pooling. However, if you're worried about exceeding and creating too many connections, you can set a limit to the maximum open connections, and let's set it to 10 just to be on the safe side. But yeah, you can change that. And Golang and the Go SQL driver takes care of the connection pool for you. Alright, so we have the database. We are using the github.com libpq package, and in the init function we are creating a database session, so that's good. Now once we have that, we need to save it. So to save the record, we actually need a database, and we're going to create a file called db.sql and put our SQL here. So create a table called screencasts, right? Oh, actually I have some SQL for this too. So we need to create a table called screencasts, and it's going to have two columns, one called title and the other called embed code, just code, and a few more columns, we'll add them later. But for now we have ID, title and code, which is all good. And we need to create the database. Create db learn underscore dev, and connect to that, create the table. Now we have that table, right? So once we have the table, we can db exec, db exec insert into screencasts, and we're going to insert the title and the code, and the values will be passed as SQL parameters, and they will be our, let me just copy that. So we have a title and the embed code, right? So everything seems good, and exec gives us a SQL result and an error. So we can look at the error, but for now I'm just gonna restart the server, see what's happening. So now we go back to the home page, enter the embed code and the title, and hit submit. And once we do that, the screencasts table should have the data, and it doesn't, so which is not good. So let's look at the error, and if error not equals to nil, then everything's good. Or, for now I'm just gonna print the error. So error, right? Oh, dbexec gives us two values, so we're gonna ignore the first value, take the error and print it. Restart the server and try it again. And it says converting exec arguments zeros type unsupported. Oh yeah. So r.form is actually a ul.values type, which in turn is an array of strings. So we need to get the first element out of that, the first element out of this, then restart this, and do this again. And hopefully, since the error is nil, it has inserted the title as well as the code, right? So now we have one screencast, which is good. So back to our README, we are able to create the screencasts, right? And we need to be able to list them. So for that, let's say we're gonna do it on the home page, and before doing that, this code is kind of ugly, right? We have HTML embedded in the Go code, so we need to move this outside of the Go code. So what I'm gonna do here is create a directory called templates. Let's just call it templates, and create a file called new new.html, and new is good, and copy this, put it here, and replace that, just reformat it a bit, right? So all good. And I'm gonna create an index page too, and that is also gonna have a dot type, and learn how to write software, learn software. So that's good. Now here we want to list all the screencasts. So for that, we need to do a bit of templating. And so first, let's look up the documentation for templating. Code doc, HTML. Let's go to golang.org. And packages, and HTML template, and we need this, right? So we need parse files. So I'm gonna do a bit of lookup here.